Hello, and welcome back to Buddhist Socialism. It has been a while since I updated this series, so I'm happy to continue where we left off. Nowadays, children spend little time around the good influence of their parents, who still lead their lives according to the old cultural traditions. When children are on their own with too much freedom, they come under the influence of many kinds of temptations. After a while, they no longer listen to their parents' and teachers' advice about their behavior. Eventually, they change so much that they differ completely from how they once were. All that is left of religion and Sila Dhamma is what students write about in their notebooks. True Sila Dhamma, however, cannot be found in our schools and universities because there is no practice of Sila Dhamma, only writing about Sila Dhamma, answering questions in class about it, and receiving marks from the teacher for good answers. What is to become of a world in which there is no religion, no Sila Dhamma? Real religion is scientific in the sense that it is based on identifying real problems and solving them in a valid way. Do not replace religion with rambling philosophical nonsense. The term science encompasses a broad range of things. There is much to be said for the kinds of science that has become so advanced in the modern world, so long as it does not endanger us. If we become enslaved by science, however, then it becomes dangerous to us. How can we make the best use of science? There is a science of behavior, which when we can apply its principles to our speech and actions, our behaviors will not cause dukkha, or bring about karmic consequences. The science of human behavior is not nearly so important, however, as the science of the mind, that is, the identification of those thoughts which cause suffering and those which do not. We must take every effort to understand the consequences of our thoughts and to preserve that way of thinking which does not cause dukkha. This is the science of the mind. The building in which we are gathered today is called the spiritual theater, which, in its own way, illustrates the science of the mind. Though this building shares similarities with the other theaters, its subject is the mind or spirit, hence the term spiritual theater. Those who enter this building can enhance their understanding of the mind, and how it can overcome temptation and become truly liberated. Sometimes we depend too much on verbal means to explain the mind. For instance, people often become confused by words or phrases such as empty or empty mind. Although empty mind is in fact an accurate term, people do not understand what it means. An empty mind means a mind free from temptation, attachment, deception, or whatever makes it unsteady. Here we have a painting on the wall where it is written, "An empty mind can hear the grass speaking." What does this mean? When we have an empty mind free from kilesa, deception, and temptation, we can hear the grass speaking. That is, we can hear the voice of nature. The grass is saying to us, if people would only overcome their madness, they could be happy, free, and normal, and could dance about gracefully as we do. The image is one of the grass dancing and swaying in the breeze. This is an example of how we use illustrations to help people understand how the mind works, and this is why we call this building a spiritual theater. I want to be perfectly clear about this. We do not collect philosophies here. Philosophy slows down the process of understanding and gets people into theoretical knowledge over their heads, such that they cannot ever really help themselves. Be a scientist, not a philosopher, but be a scientist of the mind. Try to comprehend what nature is in its most profound sense. The Buddha was truly a comrade of nature. He was born on the ground, reached enlightenment on the ground, sat, slept, taught, and died on the ground. Yet his so-called followers seem to prefer more heaven-like surroundings in which to live and die. The Buddha reached enlightenment under a tree at the river's edge. He walked, talked, and preached while on the ground, and lived in a hut on the ground. How could anyone say that the Buddha was not on the ground among the earth's surroundings? He reached nirvana and even died on the ground. We, the followers of the Buddha, would do well to follow his example, to remain firmly grounded in nature. In doing so, we would keep the Buddha's ways and honor his memory. Jesus, too, was born on the ground. The founders of other religions were similarly comrades of nature, but we, the so-called followers of their religions, want to live in a paradise of our own creation, fabricated from our imaginations. Such desires take us off in the opposite direction from where we should be headed. Are religion and morality still really part of our lives? Conditions in the modern world have drastically changed the way we live. We should be comrades of nature. Instead, we despise it. We should live according to our nature-given rights. Instead, we hoard resources in untold numbers of banks, warehouses, and granaries. We have things completely backwards, and the situation appears to be getting worse. Philosophy, logic, and psychology have replaced true religion. The morality of sensory self-discipline has been replaced by a morality of kilesa. How can we possibly solve social problems under such conditions? Producing more food and goods is not the solution. That would only make things worse, because people would become even more selfish than they are now. Solving social problems is dependent on living in a socially moral way, acting in the best interests of the entire community by living according to nature's laws, avoiding the consumption of goods beyond our simple needs, sharing all that is not essential for us to have with others, even if we consider ourselves poor, giving generously of our wealth if we are well-to-do. This is the way we will solve our social problems. If we all scramble to grab whatever we can for ourselves, where are all the material goods going to come from? How is nature going to come up with resources to fill our limitless demands? How can there not be social problems when people live and behave in such selfish ways? The demise of religion and morality in our world becomes most alarming when we consider the seriousness of our social problems and realize that religion and morality, which would have enabled us to overcome these problems, no longer exists in practice but only in name. Philosophy is no substitute for religion. When we practice our religion with observation and commitment, our behavior and actions manifest a truly selfless way of living and thinking, free of possessiveness. Such a way of life may be called socialist, as it enables us to solve the problems that occur when people live together in a society. Do not, therefore, fear and hate the term socialism, or worry that you will be called a communist and get arrested. If it makes you feel more comfortable, just add one more word and call it Dhammic socialism. Dhammic socialism is socialism of the Dhamma, or socialism of God. It is the kind of socialism that can help humankind survive in the modern world. What we call Dhamma has value and meaning far beyond what words can express. It is erroneous to think that Dhamma exists only in Hinduism or Buddhism. In Pali and Sanskrit, Dhamma means all of existence, just as God means all of creation. Everything that was, is, and will be. It is just that we do not easily recognize what this means in the most profound sense. We only see all the phenomena manifest and the principles of truth that are inherent in them. Dhamma is also the duty of humankind to live according to these laws. The consequences of any action, be they good or bad, these too are Dhamma. Dhamma is all-inclusive, just as God is. The words are used in the same way. God means everything that exists. God is manifest in all phenomena. The word, or God's law, are the laws of nature, or the laws of Dhamma. It is our responsibility as part of this order to live according to it. In fact, we must be very careful to heed that aspect of God, which is natural law, because when we act against that law, we are inevitably punished. We can actually see this happening in the destruction going on in the world now. However, following the law of God will result in happiness, the reward of a life beyond death. That is called Dharma, results that will bring us fulfillment in our lives and elevate us above a spiritual death. That so many opposing religions have proliferated is a result of the inadequacy of mere words to express the profundity of truth. Misunderstandings brought about by such shortcomings or incorrect uses of language have caused people to form opposing groups and even to oppress others who do not agree with them. If we do not comprehend truth in its most profound sense, then we do not really understand Dharma, God, Tao, or in scientific terms, natural law. When we fully comprehend natural law, then we also understand the meaning of Dharma, of God, of Tao, in short, of everything. This is the full meaning of the word in Pali, Dhamma. Other languages as well have a word that is similarly all-encompassing in its meaning, the word Tao, for example. Such a word takes in everything in existence, just as the word Dhamma does. In whatever language the word is found, we must go to the heart of its meaning in order to fully comprehend its significance. Only with such understanding can we truly solve our problems. I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series so far, and if you enjoyed this video in particular, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to hear more, and I will see you very soon.